than this. But if I was working a small crack or a small area, this would be my application method. It's kind of hard to describe to a contractor on the phone, but sometimes we'll get into a situation where we actually want the contractor to just take a funnel and put a hose on the end of the funnel. One guy's holding the funnel, one guy's holding the hose where he wants it, and they're just pouring in and just pinch the hose off as you get there. Surgical tubing and things like that work great for that. So
this you're not really pressure injecting, it's just flow.
I want gravity to take it in, that's correct. What I get concerned with pressure is what are we moving? What are we moving out of the way to get the grout in there? So we, from time to time, we'll work on a structural project with an engineer, and they do specify they want a certain amount of pressure, but we tend to stay out of those decisions. For an area like this, I'm gonna go with a really, really simple method. All I wanna do is pour that grout in. I wanna give it some time to take up. And if you look in the area after I kinda let this drip off, our grout level was up probably ½ an inch from where it is right now. It's settled down in. That's telling me that we're filling any of those areas in and around that area that I wouldn't have been able to just pack mortar into. So I know I have a concern because this stone is just it's just sitting there. With the grout, it's going to allow it to go in flow anywhere that water went into and basically fill up that cavity and give me good structural support for when I try to set the stone on top.
Is there a limit to how much you can put in at any one time?
There's really not. You start to get limited. I wouldn't want to try to fill a void that was maybe 12 inches by 12 inches. You start to get into that no man's land on testing. How do you test a 12 by 12 cube of grout? But anything smaller than that, if I had done some investigation on the wall and I knew I was dealing with areas maybe 4 inches by 4 inches, 5 by 5, I would have no problem using the grout for that.
Cure?
28 days. Just like a natural cement, it's going to take it 28 days to reach its kind of initial cure, and it's basically its hardened state will take.
So how soon can you set the stone in there that you're looking to set? I'm
going to set this stone this afternoon. I'm not looking for full cure out of this. I'm looking for it to take up all those areas. Correct. And I'm going to be really cautious when I set this stone. I'm going to come up as tight as I can to this. I'm going to tuck point it all in, but this stone's not today and tomorrow. It's not putting weight on here. If I were to come back later and grind this mortar joint out and set that in, that's where I would want at least 7 days, for that to kind of take up.
And maybe you said, is there limited shrinkage on this, or?
Very limited shrinkage. This grout was designed so that it's shrinkage compensated, so that you're not going to have, if I were to mix the pointing mortar this wet, it would shrink, if I were to just try to pour it in.
And would you normally do this type of repair like you're doing it? I mean, one loose stone, and then if you had to move down another foot, and so that it's always self-supporting, or is there any difference between shoring up that sill and doing the whole thing other than time?
Other than time, no, not really. I would probably approach this one the same way, just because I don't have a lot of large voids down here that I'm dealing with. I may want to grout a little bit in here. This I'm just going to fill with mortar. So that was kind of the only area that really stuck out to me and said, boy, I really need to grout that.
That one down further.
Which one?
The one you, by the, yeah.
This one?
Are you going to actually inject that with the syringe?
Right. We can give it a try, and see what we can fill there. I guess the concern.
Your idea being, if there's voids that you can't see, get them filled.
Well, yeah, I can kind of do that. My concern is we may have a bleeder that comes out over here, and I don't have any clay with me to fill that. So, but you can see as I fill this, that grout's going to find level. You can kind of look back in the back. It's going to find level. I'm going to give it time to kind of take up, and that's like I said, that area that I would never be able to just fill with mortar and point and really get a good compaction on.
And are